Native plants have the lowest maintenance. Not only that, but they might be the least expensive to care for. Today, I'm going to talk about why that is and why some of your native plants might need to start coming from a different location. I'm filming from Tucson, so things are a little shaky and the lighting is a little funky, but that's okay because native plants, they're still here to stay. Now, native plants are adapted to the environment that you're growing them in. Those are native to your local area. So they're already adapted to the water that naturally comes from rainfall and a lot of the soils that are there in your area. Now, in areas that have been highly developed, the soil is kind of mixed up and varies. So it might not exactly be what they're used to or their preferred soil, but they still can get along pretty well. So for example, mesquites in my area, they prefer more of a clay soil, while the desert willow prefers more of the sandy soil. But both of them would still do great in my backyard. And so your native plants will probably do great in your backyard as well. Now, the why I said that they're probably less expensive is because one of the most expensive parts of raising a plant is the water demand. When you're planting a vegetable garden, those are the highest water demand plants. So you might spend thousands of gallons to keep your veggies watered, but a native plant probably won't need much after it's gotten established in the first 2 to 3 years. So that's why I say they're the least expensive to get going and to keep flourishing. Now, I don't think that they mind having a little bit more water. They know what to do with it because especially like in areas like Arizona, whenever they do get water, that's like party time, right? Now, if you're in an area that gets a lot of water on a regular basis, they're probably used to more water and they've already been adapted to those conditions. Now, there is that time that there could be problems, right? And you do your troubleshooting, you find out if they don't like the soil, if they don't like the neighboring plants, maybe they're not getting the sunlight that they would want. And if all of that doesn't work, there might be something else going on. See, what's happening is there's a little thing called climate change where we're having different weather, different temperatures. Sometimes we're having more erratic, more powerful storms. Sometimes we're having less water for longer periods of time. So those plants that have adapted to the area that you're living in right now might be migrating. That's right. That's what happens during climate change. Some plants can't make it. Some migrate at slower rates. And some of them are just moving to, because that's what they've adapted to do, right? They're saying, oh, our preferred conditions are now north or at a higher elevation. And if their seeds are distributed through the wind, then they're more likely to migrate faster. So that's what you've got to be watching for in these times is what type of plant is it? And is it maybe just because it's moved on? And that doesn't mean that you can't still find natives. Your natives, if that plant has moved on, you might want to start looking for natives that are closer to the equator than where you are, or at a lower elevation than where you're at right now, because everything is migrating towards higher in elevation and away towards the poles, away from the equator. For example, I've shown in my other videos, I decided to try some Australian plants that were native to their arid areas. And I looked it up. They're, I think, 10 degrees closer. I think we're like at, I could be wrong, 35 degrees north, and they're at like 23 degrees south. So they're technically about 10 degrees roughly closer to the equator than Phoenix, Arizona, which is where I'm at. So one of them survived, one of them didn't. Either way, could that be the new native? Could the area southward from me have plants that are going to do better in the climate that's happening now in Arizona. Did you know that the purple coneflower wasn't always native to the Midwest? It was originally farther south, but when the Ice Age glaciers started to retreat, it started migrating north along with a bunch of other plants that are now considered native to the Midwest. And that's not the only case where that happened. I don't know, but that might be something that you want to check into. In the meantime, I would start exploring your natives, and those are a great supplement and a great pollinator attractor for your garden. Thanks for watching, and I'll be talking to you soon.